Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 115 of the Lamborghini Aventador project. Okay, so continuing on from the previous lesson, I am going to be working on the tail lamp. So let's go ahead and work on this area. So there is a little flat. Let me see if I can get this out. Yes, there's a little flat and that is going all the way around. So I'm going to try and do that. So let's go ahead and match this one. So right now I just offset this surfaces. I think, let's see what. Okay, so it was just offset 1 mil, but as you can see, it's not matching with the theoretical over here. So I'm going to try and make sure that they are nicely aligned. So what I'm going to do is I just did a intersect. I'm just going to duplicate over here like this, and now I'm going to just, well, okay, so it looks like I need to intersect on this side also. So I'm just going to intersect over here. I'm going to grab this curve. I'm going to just snap it over here like this, and let's go ahead. Now, you no longer need this, so I'm going to just get rid of it, and let's go ahead and extend this back a little bit, and I'm just going to project like this. Okay, project it from X, and let's go ahead and intersect all of these as well. So I'm just going to intersect like this. Oh, actually, this one is a little bit off too, so let's go ahead and work on that as well. First of all, I'm going to just get rid of the curve on surface over here. I'm just going to extend this piece over a little bit. I'm going to intersect this piece like this. And actually, while I'm at it, let's go ahead and intersect this one as well. Okay, so that looks good. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this one. Well, these are no longer needed, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those. This curve can be gone, and I'm going to be doing the same thing over here. So let's go ahead and intersect over here, and I'm just going to duplicate this edge like this. I'm just going to move the pivot here, and let's go ahead and just, let's take a look. So I'm just going to snap it over here like this, right at the intersection point. This one can, not that one. This can be gone, and I'm going to just delete the curve and surface over here like this, and I'm just going to project over here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's get rid of this one as well. So we have the curve and there is a curve and surface, but it does need to be cleaned up a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So I'm just going to extend them back so that I can just trim them as one piece. So let's go ahead and trim over here like this. And looks like there's a little bit of issue with the curve and surface. So let's take a look. Okay. There shouldn't be. Oh, that's why. Okay, so you see that this is actually doesn't have a curve and surface over here. So that's why there was a piece over here that didn't trim. So I'm just intersecting, and I'm going to extend this one like this, and that's much better. Okay, so that looks good. And let's go ahead and, well, I'm going to intersect those a little bit later. Let's do this one first. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure to check for curve and surface. Okay, I'm just going to extend this one back. I'm going to extend this one back, and this one back also, and looks like this one needs to be intersected. So I'm going to extend this one like this. Okay, and let's go ahead and intersect this one. Oh, that's why. Okay, so it looks like you'll see that the curve and surface is a little bit it's ending up here instead of all the way there. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to intersect over here. So let's go ahead and trim, and I'm going to intersect here. And well, there's already curve and surface there, so that we can leave. And I'm going to trim this one over here like this, and let's go ahead and trim everything out. Okay, so I'm just going to extend over here like this. Why is that like that? Okay, so that is not correct. So I'm going to make sure that's fixed. I think that's due to the adjustment that I made. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just project this one over here like this. And I'm just going to say project from view. I'm going to trim this piece over here like that. And let's go ahead and trim this one as well. Okay, so that's nice and clean. Let's trim this one like this. And this needs to be intersected. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to trim over here and I'm going to trim over here. Let's do the same thing over here like this. I'm going to trim, I'm going to trim, and I think that's much better. And everything looks pretty clean. Okay. All right. Pretty happy with that. I'm going to delete the construction history. And now I think we are actually ready to put some internals in. Of course, I do have to put some of the actual flanges in. So, well, not exactly flanges, but these walls. So let's do that first. So now that all the details are somewhat in, I'm going to grab draft tool again. It's going to 3 degrees. The length is going to be a lot longer. I think 3 degrees should be fine. Let's grab all these surfaces over here like this. And let's go ahead and build the wall. So I'm just going to extend it like this, just extend it a little bit beyond, and it looks like the direction is good. However, you'll see that these are not intersected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say intersect flanges. You can do a trim convert. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, I think it actually worked beautifully, so that's good. Okay, so now the wall's created. Let's go ahead and create some basic surface. Because these are, I think they are supposed to be just on one plane, at least, you know, somewhat similar to the lens surface. So I'm going to create a surface that mimics that. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to, well, let's take a look. I think I'm going to do this. I'm just going to snap a curve here, and I'm going to just snap a curve in a random place over here, like this. Now, the top one has a lot more depth than the bottom, so I'm just going to drag it a little bit more, like that, and let's try to create a rail base on that. So what I'm going to do is, I do need a curve, so I probably, well, let's do this. I should probably use a bi-rail because it has to match to both the top and the bottom. So let's go ahead and use extend. I'm going to turn merge off. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do this. I think I can just extend it over here. So I'm just going to extend over here like that. And let's go ahead and do a bi-rail. So it's going to be 1 and 2. So it's going to be there and here. I don't know why it says it's not letting me make one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And let's just check the angle. Now the bottom has a little bit, I'm pretty sure it has a little bit of offset from the lens surface. It's kind of hard to see over here. Well, this one doesn't really provide me any reference. So let me see if I can find a, well, let's see if this one works. No, not really. Okay, so I'm going to try and then find a reference that hopefully shows that area. Okay, so I think this is probably the best reference that I have so far. Let's take a look. Well, actually, you know what? There is not a lot of shelf space on over here, so maybe I'll just leave it as is then. Okay, so think, because what I need to do is I need to map out all these shapes over here. And I would say, I think the black piece is supposed to most one that is the most proud. So I'm going to reference this one, and I think, well, considering the offset that I have so far, I would say this is a lot more vertical than what I thought it was going to be. And I'm pretty sure it has to be extended a little bit. There's got to be some shelf space. Yeah, let's actually take a look at this again. We'll just resize it first. Okay, so I'll probably give it a little bit more space. It does look like it's almost at the edge, but I still want a little bit. So let's go ahead and extend this one back like this, at least for a minimum. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the stretch tool to move it here. And this one, I do think that this has a lot more shelf space. So let's go ahead and extend that one also. Okay, so let's, I think this is probably the best one for reference. So I'm just going to extend this piece until I think maybe something like that. And let's see if this, how much angle that this is going to give. Okay, so looking at the side view, it still has a little lean towards the rear, which I think is appropriate. So I think I'm going to go with that. Let's go ahead and do a bi-rail again. So it's going to be 1 and 2. And let's just check for the final shape. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. So I'm just going to extend this piece over here so that I can create... Well, actually, this side doesn't really need one. So I guess I'll just leave it there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this piece over here like that. And I'm going to go ahead and intersect it. And I'm going to just trim it just for cleanliness. I'm going to trim this piece over here. And I'm just going to lay out some curves for this area. That curve is no longer necessary, so I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'm just going to go to the rear view like this. I think this is probably the best perspective because I think it has the least amount of warp. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay out some curves for that. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and lay out some curves. Okay, so it looks there's a three-pointed shape. I don't know if I call this a star, but let's go ahead and lay that out first. So I'm just going to grab a curve like this, just so that you can act as a center, and maybe raise it up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is, well, I think it's about the center. So let's just center it over here like this. And for this edge, I'll probably want to center it here as well. And since there's a well, actually this one, I probably have to move it in a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and move it in a little bit like that. And I'm going to switch this into a degree 3 so that there's even spacing. And basically this is where all the curves are going to be located. So I'm just going to spot a curve like that. And I think it's somewhat vertical. So I'll just snap a curve like this. Snap a curve like that. Over here. Do the same thing. Whoops. Move the pivot here. Do the same thing over here. And do it over here as well. Okay, so I'm just going to move this. I'm going to keep the angle all the same. So I'm just going to move the pivot here like this. And this is where I'm going to use the stretch tool. Now, I guess the bottom one is going to have a little bit different angle. But I think it's close enough that at least visually, I don't think it's going to hurt the model. Okay, so I think that's good. Basically, that's going to be the center of where these red surfaces are going to be, the actual lens surface. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and project them onto the base surface that I have created. So let's go ahead and grab this one. I'm going to grab all these curves like this, including this one. I'm just going to project that from X. And now I do need to take a better look at how the surfaces are structured. So if you see this one over here, so you'll see that it's actually, there's a center surface over here that's actually converging over here. So I do have to make sure that everything is good. And what I'm going to do next is I do need to duplicate the curve. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to duplicate this curve. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe I do. Yeah, let's just make it a curve. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it a degree 2 curve. A fit curve should do. Let's just do that. And for this area, because this actually needs to go a little bit below this area over here, what what I'm going to do is I'm just going to split this into 3. So this fit curve should do it. What you can do is you can just do a 1 fit curve and just drag it over here like this. I'm just going to make sure, that doesn't snap. There we go. And what you can do is so you can just do a fit curve again, and it'll just continue from this section. And lastly, I'm going to do that, and that should allow me to put some rails there. Okay, so now that's done, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them all in a layer so that's a little bit easier to grab. So let's grab them, grab all of it as an object. So, and I'm going to say rear. Oh, actually, tail lamp. Like this. And I'm just going to grab this lens surface over here. I'm going to put it here because I don't need that anymore. And I don't need this one either. So I'm going to say, grab that one, delete. Say delete unused layers, and that's good. Okay. And now I'm going to use this and put it over here. I'm going to say hide 2 so that if I need to, I can just grab those again. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this curve, this curve. These all can be hidden over there because I already got my curve or the major curves. So let's put them over here and let's go ahead and do some rail. Okay, oh, actually, before I do that though, I do need to put this in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a curve like this and push it in like that. And let's put it over here, here, and here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab stretch, push it in a little bit so that they sort of stack. And I think that should be good. Okay, so I think it is time for some railing. I'm going to grab it just a simple degree 2 curve like this, and let's just go to the rear view, and I'm just going to create a curve straight up like this, and I'm going to create one straight down like that, and I am going to give it a little angle for this one. So let's go ahead. Actually, I wonder if they are vertical. Let's bring this one back and let's see how vertical it is. So I'm just going to drag a curve like that, and I'm going to just project it from X. Actually, this one is actually leaning towards the front. I mean, not that it's bad. If that's the case, I wonder if I should just make it straight up vertical. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So what I can do is I'm just going to create a curve here. And I'm just going to make it exactly vertical like this. Oh, actually. Okay, so I think that's due to the shape, so never mind. I'm just going to leave it like that then. So I think there's a little bit of twist on the surface, the lens surface over here, but there's not much I can do because the top and the bottom has a little bit different shape. But I'm just going to leave it like that, and I'm just going to say hide. And for this one, I'm just going to put them in, and whatever, I think I'm just going to make it straight up and down as far as the angle goes. So I'm just going to push this one in. I'm just going to go to side view and push, oh, not that way, push this one in. And let's go ahead and do a rail. So it's going to be 1 and 1 like this. And I'm just going to put one here as well. So basically that is going to set up the angle for all the surfaces. So let me just take a look, and I do need to trim it. So let's go ahead and go to the rear view. So it's a little bit easier to see. I do feel like the top one is actually a little bit taller. That's interesting. If that is the case, I wonder if I should employ a little bit different technique because I'm a little bit hesitant about this. Okay, so I think here is what I'm going to do. Instead of just making a rail, I think I'm just going to use a bunch of curves and an offset surface. So let's grab this surface over here. I'm going to put it in the tail lamp layer like this. And actually, you know what? That is not true. I do need to separate this into 3 sections. So let's go ahead and put a curve here. Put one here. And I'm going to put one here like this. And what I'm going to do, oops, let's go back, is I'm going to, well, let's first of all project. So let's project this one in X. Let's project this one in X. And I'm going to put that, let's delete these curves like this. And I'm just going to do a fit curve. Actually, before I do that, I do need to extend it. So I'm just going to grab the trim tool, just extend it right to the end like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate over here. Oh, actually, let's do a fit curve. Let's do a fit curve over here, fit curve over here, and fit curve over here. And I'm going to use that to create a rail. So this surface can be gone for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this one in order to create a new surface. It's just going to be a rail, simple rail. It's going to 1 and 1. I'm just going to use parallel for now. Basically, this is going to serve as the basis for all the shapes there. Because I do feel like all of them have a similar depth. I know there's a little bit angle difference, but it is also very tall over here. So I think this using this technique will be allow me to do everything a little bit better or a little bit more cleanly. Okay, so now that's done, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and I'm going to extend this piece so that it's a little bit longer because I do need to trim it. I'm going to grab this edge. I'm going to extend it a little bit longer past this one. And lastly, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to let it extend a little bit longer here as well. And all 3 surfaces do need to be extended because I'm just using these as basically a plane for projection. So, and I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one like this. I'm just going to drag it down. Okay, so now that's done. I do need 2 heights for the peak of this and the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab these 3 surfaces. I'm just going to offset them a few mils. So maybe like 3 mils should be good enough. And let's go ahead and create some curves. I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's do this. So I'm just going to create a curve over here. Actually, you know what? I do need some kind of a center point. So well, first of all, let's project this. So I'm just going to grab this one and grab these curves over here. I'm just going to project it from X. And I think I should actually be able to push these in because I'm not going to be using them as rail. So I'm just going to push them in. Oh, looks like looks like construction history is there. Okay, so that's good. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to create an angle that's basically half of this one. So what I can do is I can just create a line from here to here like that, and I'm going to create a line, oops, not that one, to create a line from here to here. And I'm just going to make them the same distance, so it looks like 10 mil should be the target. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And if I just create a curve that connects from here to here, basically I can get the center of these 2 angles. So I'm just going to project over here like this. I'm going to delete the construction history, delete the guidelines. And basically I can use them in order to create this intersection over here. So let's go ahead and delete this one. I'm going to extend it a little bit over here. And let's take a look. Okay, so I'm just going to grab something like that. And let's just take a look at the image. Now this is probably the best rear view, but I think, yeah, let's do that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I wish I had a better, something that is a little bit more zoomed in. This one is a little bit glossy. There's reflections everywhere, so it's kind of hard to see. So that's not going to help. Oh, maybe this is probably the best view. Okay, so let's just lay out some curves and see how they look. The bottom was I think it's a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to, well, actually, you know what? Because I have 3 curves, I think I could have just extended that. Okay, so let's do that. I'm just going to extend this one, and I think it's due to the angle, though it looks a little bit different. So I think this might be a little bit better. So I'm just going to extend this, and let's actually move this one over here like that, and I'm going to move this one over here. And actually, you know what? When I'm doing the extend, I think I want to just turn the merge off so that they are separate surfaces or separate curves. So I'm just going to do something like that, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Actually, let's delete these curves like this, and I'm going to extend this one over here. And you know what? While I'm at it, let's delete the curve and surface too. For now. Actually, you know what? Let's just leave it. Okay, so I'm going to move this curve over here and this one over here like this, snap it there, and I'm going to be doing the same thing down here. You will notice that it's a little bit smaller. So let's go to rear view. That's kind of hard to see, but you definitely see the difference in thickness. So I'm going to be doing that. Let's see. I probably have to do a lot of proportional changes though, just because I don't have a very good reference. I wish that the canvas showed this one too, so that it's a little bit easier to work with, but I guess, well, that's not going to happen. So let's go ahead and do that also, and I'm just going to create a curve that somewhat mimics the shape. Same thing over here. And I think this one is a little bit more equidistance between this one and this one, but this one is definitely thicker than the bottom one, so I should put that in. So it's just something like this. I mean, it's not a mathematical formula that we have to follow, so I think that should be good. And yeah, and you'll see that there is a little bit of offset between all of these, so I'm going to put them in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab these curves like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to offset them. Offset like this and here. I think that's a pretty good distance. Let's see, that's about 3 mils. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so I think that's good. I think that should provide me with a good surface structure. Okay, so what I can do now is I can just copy all of these curves over here. I'll just use this one as a reference, and including the offsets. So let's grab all of these. So I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to move the pivot to the center like this. I'm just going to paste it right here. Active history, yeah. I'm going to delete the construction history over here. I'm just going to paste it over here like this, and I'm going to paste it again. Oops. Move the pivot here and paste it over here as well. Okay, so as far as the location wise, I don't think it's actually that bad. I think this corner is supposed to end up somewhere in the corner. I would say this is close enough. So yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, so now that's done, I'm going to go ahead and project. So I'm just going to grab the front one, and basically I'm going to grab the outside edges like this, and I'm just going to project it from X. Looks like this surface is actually a little bit shorter than what it needs to be. So let's go ahead and turn merge back on and extend. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to, well, oh, looks like this one doesn't need to. Okay, so let's do the same thing over here. I'm going to grab this surface, this one, this one, this one, the center ones, and the surrounding ones. Project that from X. Do the same thing over here. I'm going to grab these 3, the offset curves here. Like that. So that's good. And now, so those are done. I'm going to just put all of them in the tail lamp. The tail lamp layer, and I'm going to hide these for a second. So, well, actually, let's put them in tail lamp 2. And I'm going to grab this surface over here, and I'm going to project using this outside edge. So basically that is going to be the inner. So this is going to be basically this line over here, 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 and here. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to do the same thing on here. So grab these curves. This one, and this one. Now, to be honest, I am not quite sure about the proportions. I think I'm going to go ahead and just build the surface first before making any adjustments. I mean, I think it's simple enough that I should be able to do that. So let's take a look. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm just going to grab all the curves, and I think I'm just going to create a new layer over here. And I'm going to say just TL for tail lamp, project. Whoops. Like this, and I'm just going to hide them and just get rid of those. I'm going to bring these back over here, not this one. Let's put them in this layer, and I'm going to just click on the tail lamp layer so that it's going to be a little bit easier to pick all the surfaces. Okay, so now I just need to grab freeform blend. It's going to be position, and I just need to line them up. Okay, so I'm going to just do edge align on both sides so it's a little bit easier to work. And I'm going to grab all the curve. Oh, do that. Let's edge align, explicit control. I think I can actually turn that off. Let's see. Yep. Let's take a look. Explicit control off. Freeform blend edge, that's off, short edge. And I don't think there's much crown here, so I think I'm just going to leave it flat. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on all the curves and surfaces like that. Over here, here, like that. Do the same thing over here, and one over here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. However, I do want to check the result, so let's go ahead and hide this for a second. Make it invisible. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. Height wise, I do feel like that this is a little bit too high compared, well, just because of there's so much surface area. But to be honest, I don't think it's that bad. Well, maybe it needs a little bit of adjustment. Okay, so maybe I do need to create a separate layer for this one. Yeah, it does look like it's a little bit offset, whereas this should actually be popping out a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's bring everything back, and I'm going to just bring the tail lamp layer back. So I'm not going to delete this one, but I am going to delete these ones over here. So I'm just going to grab these like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this one. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to copy and paste this just for the top. Actually, you know what? I don't even need the top. I can just delete the construction history on these. Okay, so I'm just going to grab these. I'm going to deselect the base surface. I'm going to just say delete construction history like this. And what I can do is I can just move this one. Well, first of all, let's copy and paste so that I at least have an original. I'm going to move this one in X. Oh, that's a copied one. So let's hide this one for a second. I'm going to move this one like that. Maybe I'll just move it 1 mil in X. Oh, actually, that's got history too. All right, so I'm going to delete the construction history on this one as well. Let's hide that so that we have a history just on this one. I'm going to just move it 1 mil, -1. Now this is not a direct offset, but at least this should give me some clue as to how this is supposed to look. And that looks actually much more like it. Maybe, I think actually doing a 1 mil offset might be a good idea. So what I'm going to do is, because this is actually a flat surface, I believe. Oh, is it not? Oh, okay, so it's not. Never mind that. All right, but it's flat enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's see, let's bring this back. And I'm just going to create a 1 mil offset from this. So I'm going to just say 1 mil like that. And what I can do is I can grab the surface that I created over here and I can just snap it right to this point. And that should, it's not exactly 1 mil offset because, well, it's not offset, it's just a translation. But I think that provides me with a pretty decent reference. So let's go ahead and take a look. This offset surface over here, is it? No, it's not that one. I think it's a one made after. That's good. And I'm going to, yeah, that looks pretty good. I think the proportions are actually not too bad either. That was a first try, first shot. I think that looks pretty good. So I think I'm just going to keep this as my main. And what I'm going to do is do the same thing on the other sides. Okay. That's it. However, this is going to take a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this for now, and we'll continue in the next one. Okay, so that is it for part 115. We will continue in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.